charges today relate in no way to Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other illegal act in connection with the 2016 campaign.
A 7-count indictment, I think it's a very serious one, but it shows that the Special Counsel's office is uncovering the evidence it needs.
This has nothing to do with the president, has nothing to do with the White House.
This connection to the integrity of our elections is obviously something we have to get the truth about.
Was there illegal collusion, illegal conspiracy with Russia? We don't find that.
Well, 7-count indictment for Roger Stone, and in that indictment, a number of different parts of it, but this says after the July 22nd, 2016 release of stolen DNC emails by Organization 1, that's WikiLeaks, a senior Trump campaign official was directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and whether other damaging information Organization 1 had regarding the Clinton campaign. Stone thereafter told the Trump campaign about potential future releases of damaging material by Organization 1, again, WikiLeaks. The counts that Stone now faces: 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, up to 5 years there, 5 counts of false statements, 5 years per count potentially, 1 count of witness tampering, and there's up to 20 years in prison for that, meaning he's facing a maximum of 50 years in prison. Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney, putting in a statement saying the indictment today is yet again nothing more than another false statement charge. It doesn't allege collusion. Indeed, it charges no underlying wrongdoing by Mr. Stone or anyone else. Seems like we are coming to an end. What about all this? Let's digest it with our panel. Bring them back. Byron York, chief political correspondent of Washington Examiner. Josh Kraushaar, the political editor for the National Journal. And Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Okay, Matthew, what do you make of the Roger Stone indictment?
Well, what happened to Richard Nixon and Watergate is a tragedy, Brett, but Roger Stone seems to have read it as an instruction manual, if the indictment is correct. And nonetheless, the crime for which he was indicted are process crimes. They're not the crimes that Mueller was appointed to investigate. And so I think the administration is able to create some space between what happened to Roger Stone and the president himself.
Josh?
You know, it does feel like the walls are closing in when it comes to the Trump White House and possible connections with Russia and WikiLeaks. Stone is merely one of the many campaign officials on that Trump campaign to now be indicted, and it feels like the heat is on in the White House. On the other hand, from the political point of view, if you remember back in the summer of 2016, Trump was calling publicly on Russia to release the emails, and Stone was tweeting about this. It's for everyone who follows him on Twitter to see. So this was sort of baked in politically to the 2016 election. And I don't think the public, and certainly the politics of this, changes until Mueller releases his report and actually there is some evidence of actual collusion, which there has not been proven to be so far. So the politics, I don't think, really change a whole lot, even though this is yet another damning connection from that Trump campaign to Russia.
What we don't know, Byron, is the senior Trump campaign official who is ordered to talk to Stone, and the White House and Rudy Giuliani saying it doesn't touch the president. Obviously, he was intimately involved in the campaign, so we don't know a lot from this indictment, even though it's 7 counts and laid out.
Well, that passage that you read and that you just referred to about July 22nd, 2016 is very important. One of the most important things being it's after the WikiLeaks is published. We find out that WikiLeaks has, or the Russians have hacked the DNC. WikiLeaks discloses its stuff, and after it happens, someone in the Trump campaign says to Stone, what's going on? So that suggests that there was no knowledge beforehand, and also I think that does not really support any idea that there was some sort of collusion scheme or conspiracy going on between the Trump campaign and Russia. But the main thing to remember reading this indictment is Roger Stone has always been kind of a BS artist. He brags about all sorts of dirty deeds, some of which he hasn't even done, and he was doing that in connection to this case in public, and then the House had him come for an interview and asked him about those statements under oath, and he allegedly lied about it all, and it is all kind of caught up with him. But as far as revealing some sort of scheme or conspiracy, just doesn't do it.
Take a listen very quickly to the question of whether Roger Stone would flip for the special counsel and somehow testify against the president.
There is no circumstance whatsoever under which I will bear false witness against the president.
When you're facing long prison term, the most loyal of people turn to themselves and say, I have to look out for myself first.
You get 10 years in jail, but if you say bad things about somebody, in other words, make up stories, it's called flipping, and it almost ought to be illegal.
So, Matthew, it doesn't sound like he's going to do that, but we'll hear on Tucker's show at 8 p.m. tonight.
No, it doesn't sound at all, but I would say the way in which the FBI apprehended Stone in that 6 a.m. raid involving so many agents with weapons for what are, as basically perjury or witness tampering in terms of a congressional investigation and a special counsel investigation, I think shows the special counsel trying to ratchet up the pressure, which will continue as this legal process moves on, Brett. And as you mentioned before, these charges can amount to some significant prison time, and I think that's something that Mueller is going to emphasize in his dealings with Stone.